All right, so here's a quick update on everything that you guys need to know going into the week. I'm going to talk about inflation, our rate cut odds, and QQQ levels, and just some of my top stock setups that I'm watching this week. So on Friday, we got the Fed's preferred inflation gauge, and it came in lower than expected. The annual inflation is now at 2.1%, and core PCE also cooled off a bit. So basically, inflation is heading in the right direction, and that's going to be very bullish for us in the next couple weeks. So if we go to the CME FedWatch tool, we see here that the next meeting date, there's a 97% chance that there's not going to be a rate cut. It looks like we might have our first rate cut in September. There's an 87% chance that we will have a rate cut in September. Also, another great bullish catalyst for the markets if we do get this. Now, if we go to QQQ and just kind of see where price is trading at right now, I've said this before and I'll say it again. I'm pretty confident that we are going back to all-time highs, and I think that we could see this in the next maybe 1 to 2 weeks, to be honest. We could see this a lot faster, especially since we already came down. And it just seems like at this point, every single dip is being bought up immediately. And we've noticed this over and over and over again up here. And we basically closed break even on the Qs on Friday. Even though our whole entire portfolio was up for that day, the Qs ended up dropping. What was that, like 2-3% that day? Yeah, so it dropped like let's say 2%, and then went all the way back up before market closed and closed at break even. Also, we see here that price is above this middle Bollinger Band, which is a good sign. If we look at the RSI, we're not really overbought, especially on the daily. Like, we've seen times like this in the past where we've been extremely overbought, and then that's when we start seeing these dips. So we're not really overbought. So here's some key areas that you guys should be looking out for this week. If QQQ can break above 522 and find a support up here, then there's a very high probability that we will push up into 530 by midweek. Now, this is going to be our next set of resistance. If we can break 530, then I see us going to 540, which is all-time highs again, by next week. So guys, I just think we have to like take advantage of these opportunities before we see this VIX get crushed, which I think we could see this get crushed as well, probably by mid next week. And we could see something along the lines like this, back down to like sub 16, maybe even 15. And at this point, we are going to be very cash heavy once we get back in these areas. And you guys are going to see everyone on YouTube buying every opportunity once the VIX gets down here. And there's going to be so much confidence in the market. And you're going to be wondering why we are sitting on so much cash. And then the VIX is just going to spike up out of nowhere. And you'll see the market pull back. So we'll probably see the Qs pull all the way back to like 510, 500 when that does happen. Not expecting it to happen anytime soon, but this is something that I'm keeping an eye out for once that VIX gets crushed. Once the Qs get back down to 510 or even 500, we're going to be sitting on a lot of cash ready to deploy. So now let's take a look at some of the stocks that we are currently trading. If we see Nvidia, we are struggling to break above this 140 resistance. So we will see how price reacts on the market open, but we could see price come back down to 130, play around in this area before pushing back up. If we come here to Kava really hasn't been doing much, and that's why I haven't been trading it. It's just been doing a whole bunch of absolutely nothing for the past 94 days. And premiums haven't been that good, so I just haven't been watching it that much. SoFi also has just been sitting there, which is cool for, generating cash, because at the end of the day, we kind of like when markets do this because we're doing cash secured puts. And as long as price can stay under this $13 price, we're going to keep collecting until these rates go back down. And once interest rates go back down, we're going to see SoFi take off. And we could easily see SoFi hit $18 by the end of summer or end of the year. Chewy is just like literally a train that cannot be stopped. It is just bullish week after week after week. We entered some cash secured puts when price was trading down here at $43. So we entered some cash secured puts on Chewy for $39 puts, and this trade was sent out 8 days ago, and we got about a 2.56% return on our collateral with that trade, and price is very far from that $39. You know, 39 is all the way down here. So this is just, it was such a safe trade, and price never even came close to that. And at this point, we are basically almost 100% of our premium collected after this spike up we had on Friday. Great opportunities here, guys. Let's go take a look at Hood. So Hood is in this symmetrical triangle right now, just waiting to break out. So what I'm hoping for this week is we get a nice little push down like this, and then I'm gonna look to enter some leaps around 63 to hopefully ride this thing up. If we can get a breakout out of this symmetrical triangle, then we can ride this thing back all the way up to, you know, 70, 74, 75, whatever it gets to whenever the Qs get to all-time highs, and then we will look to exit. It also could do something like this. Just play around in the zone. Boop, 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 boop. Just play with us all week, and then just explode. And either direction it could, but I think it's very likely that this is going to explode upwards. Palantir. So we had the same sort of pattern in Palantir, and as you guys can see, we had that massive spike up on Friday, which is exactly what we wanted. And what's crazy is price even came all the way back down after we took profits on our leaps up here. Price came back down and gave us another opportunity. I didn't take it because I was away from the computer, but it literally gave us another opportunity and then shot back up at the end of the day, which is crazy to think about. So with Palantir, I will be looking at price coming back down and testing 125, and then hopefully going back up. That way we can collect our full premium on the cash secured put we have open. And lastly, we have HIMS. So HIMS has failed to break below this $51 zone, and it's doing fairly well. It's holding off fairly well. It had that 20% drop last week. So it had that 20% drop last week after the FDA's concern with the unapproved GLP-1 drugs used for their weight loss. So will this affect them slightly? Overall, they're still a good company. Here's the cool thing about this. If HIMS is compliant and pivots towards branded GLP-1s or pill-based alternatives, the weight loss opportunity is still intact. So guys, there is ways around this, and I don't see this being a concern overall for the company. They're still very profitable and have a lot of cash on hand. So overall, love the company. Haven't been able to break this 51 zone since beginning of the month, and I'm just loving this opportunity. We're getting this pullback right here. With this pullback, it's a great time to load up on cash secured puts down here. So if we go to HIMS, go to the option chain for 1 month out. So a 46 is about an 18 delta. That's a little too safe. If we went 20 delta here, wanted to be a little safer, that would give us 47 put, which would be all the way up here, which I think is very safe considering that HIMS already dropped from the peak where it was at in the beginning of the month, 22%. Will this drop again? Another 22%? I highly doubt it. So I think this is a good entry point down here. I have compiled this list of important days of the week coming up and what you guys need to look out for. The most impactful event happening this week will happen on Friday, and that is the jobs report, NFP. It is the first Friday of every month, and this is always a very volatile time in the markets, and hopefully we see good numbers. Everything else is going to be low impact, but it still might shift the markets slightly, so it's good to know. These are just some important things that you guys should pay attention to, most importantly being Friday. This is going to be a massive day, guys.